You piece of shit. He just wanted to see some fireworks with this girl. Another Demon Slayer movie, another box office sensation. The film sits nearly at a 9 out of 10 on IMDb, a 96% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, and is even inspiring fighters to start their Hashira training inside of the theaters. But the online reception has not been as positive, and it's making me rethink a little bit. Not if the movie was good, it was pretty damn good, and I could not recommend it more if you still haven't seen it. Also, I'll talk about some spoilers, so go watch it. But I wanted to hear some of the critique out. Well, besides IGN, those people never get it right. As for actual critics, they described it to be drawn out and heavy-handed, feeling like a compilation of 8 episodes rather than a fleshed out movie. Oh, IGN said the same thing? I don't give a f. Alright, the actual reason I'm being so hard on IGN, besides the fact that they get everything wrong, like calling JJK Season 2 a 6 out of 10? Wait a minute, it's the same guy? How does he still have a job? But it's because it's genuinely insane to call this movie a 6 out of 10. Critique will always be biased, but there's a level of objectivity. This movie is objectively higher than a 6. And what makes it worse is there are fair critiques within this article, but when you jump to a conclusion of basically calling it mid, you lose all credibility. And that's what I want to really call out. Some might have clicked this video thinking,
I can't wait till he shits on Demon Slayer for being formulaic.
It may be, which I'm gonna talk about, but so many people are focused on the smaller hindrances of this story that it blinded them from the genuine beauty of this film. I'll always keep it a buck. Demon Slayer has a formula. First, there's a powerful demon Tanjiro has to fight, then it seems like he's about to lose, but he remembers something oddly specific and useful for the fight. And as soon as that demon dies, you're getting hit with the most tragic backstory of all time. It happened in every single season, but this formula isn't necessarily a bad thing. Look, sometimes we overcomplicate what makes an anime great. We've been spoiled with shows like Attack on Titan and One Piece that plant seeds ahead of arcs for plot twists. People expect subversions, 10 layers of irony, or 4D chess plot twists, but honestly, simplicity can hit just as hard. Demon Slayer proves that you don't always need the most complex narrative to leave an impact. So what if the animation carries? It still carries, that means it's good. When you go up the roller coaster, you know what happens next, but that doesn't stop you from shitting your pants on the way down. That is what Demon Slayer is. Not the shitting your pants part, I mean the excitement of a roller coaster. You know what's coming when Tanjiro is about to fight a demon, but you don't know which story will be told. You also don't notice the little things and behavior that is relative to the lives the demons lived prior. Now, is the backstory long in this film? Yes. It's no secret, and my immediate reaction to the movie was not as positive as it is now. But that's because, like RAFAEL from IGN probably did, I was forgetting that this was the first of 3 movies. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why we review things after we've had some time to think about it. Not a minute after we watch the movie. Do not trust reviews that come out a day after. You and this reviewer should at least sit with it for more than a day before you're coming to a conclusion. Now that aside, it simply would not make sense to go further than they did. Imagine most of the fights happened in this movie, then what the hell is the 3rd movie about? The movie opens up with a spectacular fight and adds a lot to the other fights like Giyu vs Akaza and Zenitsu locking in. There are so many things that the manga didn't even have. I think the feeling of seeing that animation, the adrenaline rush during the fights, is what blinded a lot of people from the narrative told later on. Again, even I told my friends right after watching it that it felt like there was barely fighting. But looking back on it, I think at least half the movie was spent in fights. It just closes off with a pretty long backstory. And for an intro to the closing 3 movies, that is a lot more than I should have expected. Beyond the fights, the backstory was actually a very strong part of the movie. A part that got me to sympathize a little bit for the dude I was hoping to see get cooked. You piece of shit! Akaza's backstory is without a doubt a masterclass in emotional storytelling. We were all going in ready to hate him. In fact, to me, Rengoku dying to Akaza and Tanjiro screaming that he would kill him was the perfect lob to Tanjiro defeating Akaza. It would have gave us all closure, and in my opinion was the first choice to go about it. But then I got hit with the Demon Slayer formula, and I realized that there are more options. While we know it's coming, that does not make it any less sad. Demon Slayer excels at humanizing its demons. Akaza's story, which is told in this film with devastating grace, is a portrait of just pure tragedy. We see a boy named Hakuji whose only goal is to protect the people he loves. He trains relentlessly only to have his father die, and then even more cruelly his new family poisoned. His descent into a monster isn't born of greed or a lust for power, but of an unimaginable grief and a profound blinding rage. It's heartbreaking and compels you to empathize a little bit, even for a monster who has committed such atrocities. Wait, how many people did he kill? This emotional resonance is Demon Slayer's secret weapon. But I wouldn't be mad if someone were to complain about it. Look, I know I came around and I used that roller coaster analogy, but to be honest, this would be like the 10th roller coaster ride. Every major demon gets a sob story. Rui was an isolated boy who wanted a family, Gyutaro and Daki were two siblings growing up in extreme poverty, and Han Tengu was a coward who always blamed others. While this pattern is incredibly effective the first time, it could become a narrative checkbox. Once you know every antagonist will have a tragic past, does it still hit as hard, or does it become an expectation that we simply wait for? While the question's easy to answer, I think how it affects you is up to you. While these backstories explain the demon's motivations, they don't always justify their actions. It could feel like a way to elicit sympathy without truly engaging the unspeakable horrors they committed. It's a tricky line to walk, and this is the fine line of the Demon Slayer formula. I don't think it's a negative for most people, or at least negative enough to take away from the rest of the film, but I wouldn't be mad if someone said it was. And I'm not trying to play both sides. I personally think it becomes a problem when you compare it to other works. If you're simply taking it at face value, then it still hits. Yeah, you've seen it before, but it's a different story. And it's not like you even have to feel bad. I think it's more so explaining how deep Muzan's roots in evil are, and how far he's willing to go for this purpose, and exactly the types of people he preyed on to achieve it. I know everyone in the art medium wants new ways to break the rules, to see something that they haven't before, and Demon Slayer doesn't do that in writing, but it does on the visual level. Ufotable are undisputed masters. The fights are fluid, dynamic, and breathtaking. The way they blend CGI with traditional 2D animation is seamless and sets a new industry standard that we've become spoiled by. The level of visual quality is the show's biggest draw, and that shouldn't be a negative. If you go into it expecting something it's not, then of course you're gonna be disappointed. But stop being a critic for a second. As someone who literally critiques everything for a career at this point, you don't always have to be that critical. It's people like that, like this IGN dude, that can't even enjoy a visual spectacle that was this movie because it isn't as well written. And if you want to be miserable like him, be my guest. But my suggestion is know what you're going into. Expect a visual feast and a linear plot. Yeah, non-linear plots are usually written better. There's some ass pulls, like Tanjiro remembering his dad cooking a bear in the middle of the fight. But the highs of the movie, the fights, the emotional callbacks, the worst person making the most humble choice, I mean, these moments mean something. And I wasn't sitting there during it thinking, damn, the writing could be better. And if you were, I think you need to chill a little. So if I wasn't clear enough, I enjoy Demon Slayer. There's a reason it's as popular as it is, and I don't think you have to choose between appreciating its beauty and analyzing its structure. But where every new release is immediately declared the greatest thing ever, it's crucial to step back and ask these questions. I personally think there are more fleshed out anime films, especially in Ghibli movies, that actually have a beginning, middle, and end and aren't divided into 3 different movies. And as good as the movies are, it's obvious that they did this financially because Mugen Train made so much money that they decided to do the same for the rest. It's similar to Marvel when MCU doesn't really make standalone movies, you have to know the lore. But with that being said, it's not about hating on creators. I just want to push for a more balanced conversation. As we head into the true Infinity Castle arc, my hope is that the series finds new ways to surprise us, to deviate slightly from the formula without losing its charm. Maybe it can explore its characters more deeply beyond their trauma, or present a villain whose tragedy isn't the sole defining aspect of their evil. There's still so much to be seen, and you have to remember that this is the first of 3 movies wrapping up the arc. The second will likely have the most fights, and the third is the end to a legacy. So what do you think of the Demon Slayer formula? Is its predictability a comfort or a creative limitation? And are you as miserable as RAFAEL from IGN? I certainly hope not. Hey, but 3 videos in the past 9 days? I think that deserves $1 billion. I'm obviously kidding, but I'm trying to be and actually living up to being consistent in a way. Though I've been consistent, I know some of my videos are all over the place. The last video was probably the most political and religious video I'll ever make, but that's who I am. I say this countless times in my outros, is that I don't want to be just an anime review channel. There's nothing wrong with that. Well, there is something wrong with that for me, because I want you guys to subscribe for who I am, for my personality, for the things I believe in, you know, for whatever it is. I want you guys to be here for me. That means a lot that there are already a bunch of you guys out there, and we recently hit 2.7k. I'm counting every single sub, so not just for the numbers. I mean, I said this in the beginning, and it might sound like pandering, but it's really not. When I say that I appreciate every single subscriber, I appreciate everyone who's part of this community, and I hope to grow it because it's something that means a lot to me. And it means a lot to some of you, and that means even more to me. I don't know I don't know. But yeah, Demon Slayer was fire. I'm actually going to see it a second time today. Did I really want to? A couple of other friends reached out, they wanted to see it, and now I get to see it in dub. I watched it in sub originally. I think sub is a lot better even before seeing dub, but Channing Tatum's in it, so you know, that's interesting. I really did enjoy the movie. I don't know how, like, my main point of this video was not to glaze Demon Slayer, because to be honest, I am not a fan of linear writing. Like, my biggest issue with Demon Slayer as a franchise and this movie is that it's so linear. Like, in the beginning of the movie, for example, right, Shinobu's fighting, and then it shows a flashback of her sister dying to that demon. Imagine if they had done it in a non-linear way. Like, her sister existed in the first season, right? And then it reveals, oh, Doma killed him. Like, that would mean a lot more than just flashbacking right before she gets cooked, which we knew was going to happen, but now I definitely know it's going to happen after you know, show her flashback. So that's like my slight issue with it, but I think they may get better. I think by the second movie, maybe even the third. Also, that's why it might be a hot take. Like, I think I personally was impacted more by the Mugen Train movie. I don't think objectively, like, the fights are way better and there's more fights in Infinity Castle, but I think in Mugen Train they actually broke the Demon Slayer formula I was talking about throughout this video. Like, with Rengoku dying and then no, you know, villain dying, it really broke the formula by having them lose and just keeping them at a loss. And it really, like, impacted me, even though we just met Rengoku, because he was such a good character. So I don't know, that's my kind of hot take, but either way, the movie's definitely worth watching. Don't listen to these clowns on IGN. Like, again and again, it is objectively better than a 6. I don't know how people are claiming that. Also, sorry if you guys expected the To Be Hero video. I'm still gonna work on it and probably drop it probably next week, I'd say. That is such a good show and I could not recommend it more. But yeah, definitely gonna drop it within like the next week, I'd say, and I'm gonna keep working on it. But the ending to that show, if you are not caught up, you have to catch up. Compared to any other anime, I think it's the best. Maybe Lord of the Mysteries is better, but honestly, I haven't been keeping up with that. Not gonna lie, because it's pretty packed. Like, I hate to be that guy, but I can't be asked right now. Maybe eventually I'll get to that show. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. If you're new here, check out some other videos, join the community, and I might see you in the next one.